You're listening to The J with your host, Kennedy.
Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening to The J, and it is a Tetsudo Mokei Podcast, episode 17. And we want to start off today with giving a congratulations to the school. I'm going to read it off here. Shiraume Gakuen Seishu Middle and High School Integrated Department for winning the National Excellence Awards for the Railway Model. National High School Railway Model Contest. And was visiting the Shiraume Gakuen Seishu Junior and Senior High School Integrated Department in Kodaira City. And it looks like they've have won awards quite a bit in the past, so I think that's pretty awesome. Let's see here. Although they missed out on winning the top prize for the second year in a row, the work that the students said, I was able to challenge an unprecedented composition, and it was exhibited on the 9th floor of the commercial facility Silio Kokubunji at JR Kokubunji Station starting on March 8th. And we could see some of the photos here. And you can see some of the past, but let's see if there's a little close-up of the... So some photos. Get quite a bit of trees right here. Got the tracks. Got a crosswalks, and you see the waterfall right there. So that's pretty cool. This year's contest, which was held for the 14th time, include the module category, in which a 60 centimeter square board that reproduces the train tracks and surrounding scenery, and the one tatami mat layout, in which the size of the board can only be up to 182 centimeters in length and 91 centimeters in width. And that's pretty amazing what they were able to accomplish here. So let's see here. The work was created mainly by 4 second-year high school students, including Surumi Hinano, who is the director of the school's model railroad design team. And this one won the Excellence Award in the main module category of the contest. The townscape of the Ginzan Onsen in Yamagata Prefecture was recreated in the work titled Taisho Roman, Nostalgic Japanese Atmosphere. When the 4 of us were searching the internet, we fell in love at first sight with a night view of the image of the city and went to the site for coverage. So they did some research here, and I think that's where the photos are shown on the side panel. So this was not just, something born just from, they actually traveled to various locations to do some research, and I think that's pretty cool. Last year, the school received the Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology Award, the highest award for the first time in the module category, and aimed to win the award for a second year in a row. Hasegawa Marika, deputy director of the competition, said, "It's really frustrating. However, in the comments of the contest, it was highly evaluated, saying it was not much different from the top prize." So, I'm not sure who won first place. They don't show the photo, but for the most part, just want to wish the school and the students who participate in this, congratulations. You did a great job. And I look forward to seeing what you produce for the major competition in August for the Railway High School Model Contest. That's coming up in several months, so it'll be fascinating, interesting, and exciting also to see what schools come up with. Okay, moving on to the next school. I want to congratulate the next group, Toin Gakuen, their high school and university collaboration challenge. Their goal was to take engage trains, model trains, and have them run using solar cells. So this is a pretty awesome thing. Toin Yokohama University specially appointed Professor Miyasaka Tsutomu, who is a Nobel Prize candidate, developed this next generation school. And this is the educational corporation Toin Gakuen, or Toin Gakuen, you would just call it that. So this school is very, looks like there's, I guess you could say it's a group of maybe fellow engineers or scientists in the future. Looks like a pretty advanced high school. And they were successful in running a railway model and gauge using solar cells. The experiment was conducted back on February 11th. And in order to drive the N-gauge, it was necessary to mass produce the same battery. And students and graduate students of Toin University of Yokohama, and let's see here, produced about 40 of the same batteries. It's a high school and a university collaboration. And the initiative was also exhibited at the second Toin March, which will be held on Sunday, April 23rd. So it will be exhibited. So, according to the information here, wow, look at this. So, it looks like they created numerous perovskite solar cells. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. But I think that's pretty cool that they developed this on their own. So, okay, so they had to produce about 40 business card-sized batteries before the event, both the high school and university students. One of the dioramas exhibited at the Zero Carbon Festa is the Omotesando on February 11th, which was exhibited at the Railway Model Contest 2021 and is based on the Tokyo Metro Omotesando Station, a work that incorporates a story into diorama, by reproducing the anniversary parade. This one received the Chairman's Special Award contest. Another point is that the former Tadami River No. 6 bridge, it was intended to support the restoration of the JR Tadami line, which was damaged by the heavy rains in Niigata and Fukushima in July 2011. A reconstruction of the bridge before the disaster with the real name dam in the background, with the real name of the dam in the background. It was created in hopes of restoring the Tadami line. This work will be donated to Fukushima Prefecture in 2024 and will be installed at the Yanaizu Town Visitor Center in Fukushima Prefecture, and they'll be completed next spring. Over 90% of both works are made of paper, and their goal is to make them so they do not look like paper at first glance. Wow, that's a lot of work right there. Too bad I can't enlarge this, but in Japan, I would say that Omotesando is a place that I spend a lot of time at. From Halloween parades to just hanging out, shopping, or meeting up with people. It's just a location that I'm often visiting. So I think that's pretty cool that they created a diorama based on this. Very interesting and cool. So at this exhibition, Tokyo 5000 series trains were powered by perovskite solar cells, making a collaborative effort between high schools and universities. The Railway Research Department is working to connect club activities to social contributions. Okay. So what is this perovskite solar cells? Solar cells, which directly convert the light energy of the sun into electricity, are the most widely used renewable energy. I just want to know how to say it. Let's see here. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. how to pronounce. Sorry. Perovskite. Perovskite. Okay. There you go. Perovskite. Solar cells. So, sorry I butchered the name on that. But I got it down now. No problem. Okay, on to the next. Okay, so big news in Japan. Railroads are going to remove from guidelines that people have to wear a mask in a train. So, let's actually, what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and play a video and let's see what's going on.
JR 西日本は政府の方針などを踏まえ今月13日以降駅や車内でのマスクの着用を呼びかけるアナウンスを取りやめるなど対応を見直すことになりました関西の有のラッシュ時をこうしたアナウンスを取りやめることになりました
Okay, so on March 7th, Fukasawa Yuji, the president of JR East, held a press conference, and he announced that the wearing of masks will basically be left to the discretion of the individual, and that operators will no longer ask people to wear masks. In response to the government's decision, the aviation industry had already announced a policy that they will be putting together and implementing on March 13th. The Japan Private Railway Association says that the private railways will follow the same policy. However, JR East and the Japan Private Railway Association said, "We recognize that the government's policy review this time is only about masks. It is said that opening windows on the train is not subject to review as a basic infection control measure." Similarly, in the bus industry, the revised new coronavirus countermeasure guidelines will be implemented on March 13th. It is said that the wearing mask will basically no longer be called for, in addition to opening the windows in the car. What will happen to the suspension of the use of the front row seats that is being implemented on some buses as a measure to prevent the driver from getting infected? According to the Japan Bus Association, there is no change in the basic infection control measures for opening windows. However, the suspension of use of front row seats has already been removed from the guidelines and is still being done at the discretion of the operator. Okay, well, I do have my thoughts on this. I know people outside of Japan, they feel that they should have every right to do what they want to do, and it's understandable. But even prior to the coronavirus, Japanese were already known for wearing masks. For one thing, not wanting to get a cold during this time because of hay fever. They don't want to be sneezing or, catching anything. They're very mindful of people, of them spreading germs, not wanting to, or also catching germs from other people who are sick. I can tell you, I've been in the inside a crowded train in the Yamanote line many times, and other train lines, and there's always one person who's gonna sneeze, not wearing a mask, and I just look down when it's so crowded. That's all you could do because you're shoulder to shoulder with people. I'm just think, crap, I'm gonna get sick, and I don't know. I guess that's for me. I even if I'm standing behind someone who's super sick in a supermarket or a store, the first thing that comes to my mind when they cough or sneeze is like, oh crap, I'm gonna get sick. I shouldn't think that way. I should be more positive, right? But no, it's. I think if anything, it's just because at the workplace there were people who said they had their flu shots and they said they still got sick this year. There's like some major things going around, and it's not COVID they have. It's something with the flu. And fortunately, I haven't had anything bad, happen lately. And hopefully not by saying that. I hopefully didn't jinx myself. But yeah, if you're going to Japan, I think this is what a lot of people were hoping for. Because I've read a lot of travel. I think it's fixed now. My mic was going out, but yeah, I think there were people who posted on comments that they would not travel to Japan until the mask mandate was lifted. And so now, March 13th, it will be lifted, and it's at your own discretion. And of course, other even convenience stores have announced that 7-Eleven was one of the first that says they're going to leave it up to the discretion of the people coming in, people going into their stores, but they encourage staff to continue to wear masks. So that's that. Okay, let's see what's on other Tetsudo news coming up. Okay, someone wanted to take a picture of a rare train up close. So by doing that, he went into the tracks of the JR Tokaido line to take a photo. なんだよ。Ay, ay, ay. Okay. A person suspected of entering the tracks of the JR Tokaido line in Nagaizumi, Shizuoka Prefecture in order to photograph a running train. The police announced on March 8th that a 21-year-old public railway employee and other 17 to 22-year-old so-called photographers were arrested. Oh, crap. He was a public railway employee. 4 men. Suspected of entering the tracks of the JR Tokaido line, I want to take a picture of a rare train up close. The 20-year-old male local public servant and public railway employee living in Yokosuka City, Kanagawa Prefecture, a 17-year-old male high school student, and a 19-year-old male university student in Yokohama City, and a 22-year-old male university student in Nagoya City, Aichi Prefecture. The case has been sent to prosecutors. Good going. Oh my gosh. This is becoming a thing now. In Japan, they're having problems with youth licking on sushi kaiten, those revolving sushi bars. People licking or touching or spraying something or touching the food and posting on social media, licking the caps in restaurants and posting on social media, usually TikTok or Instagram Live. And in terms of railroad tracks, we have people jumping on the railroad tracks or lying down on the railroad tracks so people their friends could post it on social media. There's just a lot of dumb things that are happening right now, and it's something that you usually see in other countries. And of course, a lot of us have done stupid things when we were younger, but there's a level of stupidity, and especially if you're going to post it on social media with your face and it going viral. And in Japan, where most parents say, hey, my kid did it, he pays the price. And it doesn't happen that way in Japan. Not just that. If it's a young person, it brings shame to the whole family. Especially, how they look at it as how one was raised by their parents. And I know the one kid who probably feels very stupid of what he did because he became very viral from licking the sauce cap at a restaurant. His father had to, apologize profusely. And it's sad to see stuff like that. Parents having to take the responsibility for their children's stupid actions, their dumb actions. And again, with the railroad tracks, it's become a trend. People doing trend-based things to be on TikTok or Instagram Live, and in America, it's not any better. Especially those who go to stores and plan robberies, and they all go in there or go to a various store and just take whatever they want and record themselves or have people record them because the security guards don't stop them. And they go on the news or they become viral, but they don't care. They don't give a crap. And the thing is that this is where it's unfortunate that society is going this way, where people see it so much that they say, "Hey, no one's going to get in trouble," and especially in some areas where they're lenient on crime, it's just a big mess. And in Japan, I think these things have become very viral, have become on the news, Usually, in the past, you never see stupid things in this much of a level, almost reported daily or weekly. And it's become interesting because almost weekly or even daily, there's always something about a youth did this, a youth did that. And they post it on TikTok or they post it on social media. And it's just crazy. Anyway, according to the police, the 4 people are suspected of entering the tracks of the JR Tokaido line in Motojuku, Nagaizumi Town, around 7:30 a.m. on January 20th, 2023, for the purpose of filming a running train. The Kisigawa Bridge, which the 4 of them entered, is known as a nationally famous photo spot where you can take pictures of trains on the Tokaido line with Mount Fuji in the background. The 3 of the 4 people were friends of the photographer who kept in touch via SNS and gathered at the scene. The 4 went over the fence and entered the track to take a picture of the 373 series train that they were looking for. When police rushed to the scene, they ran across the railroad track and escaped. But they were caught. Not very smart people. Not very smart at all. Well, this is an interesting story. JB Press. So the local line regeneration technique change unnecessary because there are no customers. They want to change. So they want to do what they want to do is that they want to, for local lines, really small ones, how can they bring more customers to their locations and how to make most of the railways. So the survival of local railroads, which are struggling with hardships, is at stake. Given the voices of locals and residents who want to avoid the abolition, it is appropriate to make judgments based solely on income and expenditure. Torizuka Ryo, who was selected as the president of Isumi Railway in Chiba Prefecture, through an open call for participants, raised the profile of the route by running Moomin trains and restaurant trains, and is currently the president of Ichigo Tokimeki Railway in Niigata Prefecture. He objected to the recent debate over local lines. Torizuka, who is known as the Idea Man, talks about the challenges of local lines and his ideas for revivals in 3 parts. Well, there are some things I want to say about this first. We know this is happening around the country, and there are some train lines that try to find ways to capitalize it. For instance, Tomix, not Tomix, the Tenryu Hamanako Railway, they've been good attracting people with rapping. Not rapping as hip-hop rapping trains with character. So they did an Evangelion type of rapping, a Yuru camp, based on the popular series. They do rappings which attract people. We do know that in Odai, they did the Tank Academy, Girls in Panza. And I think that is one way to attract people is through collaborations. Of course, that costs money. And, I know that even in smaller places, let's say in Hiroshima, they did a rapping with the Hiroshima Carp to help promote people to come in their train station. It's competitive. They need to make money. These are, they need to. It's part of the. It's part of how life goes in Japan, and we've seen so many train lines close down, and it's sad because there's a lot of smaller ones, and the last thing you want is people having to wait long, train lines just to get on because there's not enough train lines in certain rural areas. So that does suck. It really sucks a lot. I know that some of the rural areas, I know that a lot of people, especially friends, I know that they said, you know what, I'm just gonna buy myself a vehicle. But for some people, that's not financially, feasible. So let's see what Torizuka has to say. So the question is, currently, local railways are in very difficult situation due to the prolonged recession and the corona disaster. Under such circumstances, what should local railways do to increase the number of passengers, improve convenience, and revitalize the region? Torizuka says, looking back on the history of Japanese railways, It seems that the organization that centrally manages railways across the country is approaching a period of change that takes roughly every 30 years. Ministry of Railways, National Railways, these organizations have changed in 30 years. 30 years have passed since JR started. It may be that time that has come for a change to be made. And he also says most of the president executives of the current JR companies are the final group of JNR who joined the Japanese who were part of the Japanese National Railways before JR was established. So I think that happens a lot, not just for trains, but when you have a group that's been around. And I'm going to use this as an example because it's probably one of the best examples that I know of. Obon festivals. Now, as much as they try to get a lot of young people to do this, to learn how to dances, to learn how to organize the event and pass it on to the next generation, but I've noticed that there's some communities that are very passionate, but there are some that are not as passionate as their parents or their grandparents or relatives. And I've covered a lot of these type of events where I take photos, and it's sad because I see the people who were instrumental in putting these events together, a lot of them in their older age, and then going there to see them celebrating a deceased family member. And I look at the photos, I'm like, oh no, not another person, again, it's part of life. And a lot of people who hold on, or the people who are not just hold on, who want to preserve culture, tradition. A lot of these people who have a heavy belief in they have the passion for what they love doing all these years. In Japan, it's an aging society. Not too many people want to have kids, and not too many people want to do these type of things. As mentioned many times before, kids these days, what do they vote for their number one choice for job? They want to be YouTubers. And it's not Hikakin's fault or Hikaru's fault, popular Japanese YouTubers who are making a ton of money. It's just the thing is that I think that people found other ways of making money through YouTube, as they have in other countries, but not everyone makes money. It's competitive. It's very difficult, and it's with the trains of trying to bring people. You have to be innovative. You have to be creative, but it does require people, people who can carry out to the next generation and know how to attract the next generation. For me, I've covered entertainment for decades. So decades? Yeah, I could say decades now. I'm getting that old. But I remember when I had to cover a lot of girl bands and boy bands and younger groups, and every decade or every 5 years or every year there's always someone new, or every few years. And I look at myself, I tell myself, man, how can I continue to do this? It's like, am I really into it? How am I really getting into this music? It's just kind of, it's like this is for like a new generation of music fans. And can I still enjoy it? Can I? And I know with my son, as an example, there's a lot of music he listens to. He listens to a lot of hip hop, and it surprises me. I rarely know a lot of the artists that he plays, and as he would call us boomers. So I think if anything, it's just we're still stuck in our own ways at times, and we want to see things continue. And unfortunately, for me, I know already, having to cover trends and so forth, that you kind of have to be open, and you can't keep doing the old things that were great a long time ago and make it. Wait a minute, by saying that, it sounds like a former president. Anyway, yeah, let's leave it at that. So let's continue on about this. Let me see here. What else is he talking about here? So when JR was launched, there was a plan to create funds in the so-called three islands companies of Hokkaido, Shikoku, and Kyushu, and to operate them smoothly by generating investment profits from them. However, when I look at the current Mishima company, I can only hear screams. Torizuka says, I don't think the idea of creating and managing a fund was wrong. At the time, it could be said that there was no other choice. However, with interest rates falling, things didn't go as planned at the time. There's also changes in Japanese society. The old-fashioned idea of swallowing both good and bad has become sparse, and everyone has settled into a small and cohesive good boy. And becoming, I guess I can say what he means by there, quote unquote, good boy. So do businessmen and politicians. As a result, the organization seems to have lost its vitality. While even JR is in such a stagnation situation, where should local lines with weaker management bases find a way out in the future? Of course, I think that is a theme that cannot be easily discussed. Torizuka says, where do railway companies get their income from? This includes local demand and external demand, namely tourism demand. Yeah, that is true. Tourism brings people out, but especially for a lot of railway fans, I think it's important to have certain events, have a lot of collaborations and tie-ups. I think it's just really important that way. It's not the only thing, but it really does help. So, and also depends on the location. Hopefully something around the station can be done. Maybe parades or festivals or so forth. Something that'll bring people along. But anyway, Torizuka says that where do railway companies get their income from? This includes local demand and external demand, namely tourism demand. Regional demand has peaked out in the age of population decline. Of course, it is possible to increase it if you pick it up finally. For example, you could drive an on-demand bus to pick up passengers. True. A lot of train companies are doing tie-ups with bus companies, so I think that's pretty cool. However, if you're going to do that kind of work, it's faster to discover tourism demand as a way to increase your income. I've been thinking like that since I was a president of Izumi Railway. This method also has the advantage that people from outside the area will drop money locally. That is true. But again, they have to come up with a concept, something that people will love. May it be a certain character. Like for instance, you go to Yubatake in Gunma Prefecture. It's an onsen town, but they have this character, like a little female character, and I can't think of her name right now, but they sell a lot of merchandise of that character. I think it's really important. I think a lot of little towns, small towns, have their own mascots or characters, and they run with that and find a way to attract people. It's not an easy thing, I understand, but yeah, I think it's, if you want tourism to come, you kind of have to build around that. Maybe a food contest, or maybe certain food attractions. I mean, I travel to all around Japan, sometimes just to try certain types of foods. Maybe the best udon, maybe the best ramen, the best gyoza, you name it. And people like seeing that. Local cuisine. Go to Nikko. What do the locals say that you should try? Oh, you got to try the yuba. You go to Nagoya, you have people saying you got to try this. There's always a certain region that people recommend. And there's different ways, because there's foodies, there are people who are attracted in just train fans in general, or there's a lot of ways to attract people. It's just having the backing and just going with it. So I think that granted, I think one of the issues is that it helps when there's multiple lines, because if there's only one line or two lines a day, that kind of kills it. I know that there's some places in mountainous regions where they'll only run just like, if you leave at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, that's it. That's your final way out of there. If you don't, sleep at the station or find a local hotel or something, or motel, or you need to find something. But that's where it's good for a lot of places to emphasize their location and just build upon it and just run with it. Do something creative, something different. I mentioned the Gunma. I mentioned Nikko. There's also Ibaraki Prefecture. There's a lot of things, in various areas that people really try to, to attract all types of tourists, foodies, people who are collectors. Hell, if you say you're doing a cosplay event at a certain location, you're going to have people show up. It's just how it is. In fact, that's a trend right there, working with young people, especially in Japan. Cosplay. Finding, doing a cosplay on a train event. Who knows? There's a lot of things that people can do. But again, it takes a creative team to make it happen. Hell, I ran a anime convention out of just because I wanted to, and a lot of people showed up, and a lot of people said, "Oh, please continue, do it again, make it as big as the Anime Expo in Los Angeles." And that's where I said, I was using my own money at the time. I was like, nope. If someone else wants to run it, go for it. For me, and well, by the way, someone did run it for the next decade or so, and did a good job. But the thing is it cost him a lot of money. That's the thing. You need to have the money to do things, especially if you want to do it right. And if you don't, that does make it a little bit challenging. But hopefully, these places can get some corporate sponsorship or something. Toruzuka. When I was assigned to Izumi Railway, the first record project I did was the Moomin train, which I drove with the Moomin stickers on the trains, and the topic was, do you really want to keep the railway? As mentioned, this is something that happens in the Tenryu Hamanako Railway. They really go out there with their train wrappings. Heck, you have the ushi densha, the cow densha, and the sheep densha in the Kanagawa prefecture. That became popular. They found their niche, and it works for them. People go to travel just to ride that train, because you don't see those type of things anywhere. Whereas, I don't see people saying, "Oh yes, I want to ride the 235 Yamanote line because it's exciting." No, there's so many 235s you could ride if you want. But the thing is that a lot of people who do ride it is just mostly for transportation. There are trains that people ride just for the experience, and you need to, there's so many trains out there that people should check out. It reminds me of Tetsuko no Tabi, about the characters who travel from station to station and ride various trains just for the experience. Or actually one person, and then everyone is pulled with them because they have to write and cover it. But I think it again, a collaboration with a popular series, may it be manga or anime, or even with the business. We have trams that do that, and it's worked for them. It's worked for a lot of companies. It's worked well, and sometimes that duplication really helps out. But I know in America, because again, I worked in also helping a lot of advertising companies, especially when comes to creative designs, and there are some businesses I know in America they try to get people to do pay for advertisements. I don't know if in Japan, if the collaborations to do the wrappings are done by like a special advertising or what. They have a good advertising arm that gives them a deal to do the wrappings for a certain amount of time. I don't know how that all works out, but I do find those things essential. Imagine if you were able to do a Miyazaki cat bus. I think that would be cool. Or even you see the bus of the Fujiko, the Doraemon creators, the book, not the book, but the various characters that have manga. They have a bus out there in front of the museum that features all the characters. I mean, those things are very cool to see. Hell, even the vanilla bus that you see running around with the loud music is pretty interesting. But yeah. So I think those are just certain ways. What time is it right now? How long have we been going for? I know we've been going for a long time. But let's see here. What else is he gonna say here? We often hear that there's a big difference in interest among residents along the railway line, and that is difficult to bring it all together. Then should we keep the railway or not? If you ask about it, everyone will say you should leave it. When asked why the railway should be preserved, everyone answers because it's been around for a long time. Some people answer, I used to ride the train to school, but I'm not riding it now. When did you go to school by train? If you ask me, it means that it was several decades ago. I feel there's a lot of sentimental part in the leaving the railroads argument. Torzuka says, the railway is a part of the scenery, as you can tell the time from the arrival of the train. In other words, the love of railways of the local people is also the love of their hometown. However, in response to the love of their hometown, this country saw it as an ego to keep the railways even though you don't ride the railways, and cut off the railways. People have been doing that for decades. As a result, what happened to that area was that it was ruined. Well, that's valid. That is valid. I think that happens a lot in America, especially back then when a lot of people used to ride the Amtrak trains or the buses for transportation. There used to be, I mean, there's a lot of cities that use public transportation, but in terms of trains for traveling, everything, they used to have this big esteem of, oh yes, ride the train, it's so cool, and they still do that. There's people I know who want to ride each of the routes, Amtrak routes through America, and that's part of their bucket list, and I think that's all good. But the thing is that you ask people, when's the last time you rode an Amtrak train? And, probably out of 25 people, would you get 1, 2, or 0? That's something to think about. And then in Japan, of course, you have the younger people who just want to leave the countryside and move to a metropolitan city for a better life, to make more money, to get away from the countryside. And I think a lot of people do get nostalgic when they see their train. Again, when I collect the model trains, a lot of it is built on nostalgia of trains that I've ridden before or I've seen before. And, when it comes to a railway, I can't say that, that I support it, completely, because I don't ride it completely. I don't pay any money. I only go there. And if you do go there, do you want to go there multiple times? Is it enough to go there multiple times? I think for people who travel, there are some people who would go to a rural area, multiple times. But I think a lot of people want to say, you know what, I want to try something new for this year or the next year and the year after that. And, just say, I did it. It was on my bucket list. Cross it out. And I think that's one thing. They need to find. They would need to find a niche of from the locals of why they should come to these little small train stations, and it's not an easy question to answer. I know I'm repeating myself here, but it is what it is. The Japanese National Railways arranged local lines nationwide at the end of the period. Torizuka says there were three patterns: the route where the track was removed and converted to a bus, the route which was converted to a third sector railway, and the route which was left as JR. As for what each pattern is like now, in many places that have been converted to buses, there are places where even the name of the area has disappeared. This is due to measures such as municipal mergers. The third sector railways are working hard to keep the railways alive by improving stations and planting flowers along the lines. What remained as JR is that JR itself is in decline and local lines are losing momentum. Speaking of that, that's a big thing that's also happening in Japan. For those who go to a lot of the major metropolitan, stations, maybe Ikebukuro, Shinjuku, Shibuya. A lot of those places, railways, were known for having department stores. Ikebukuro is one of the famous. They had Seibu. They had. I mean, you could go into everywhere. I mean, even to Shinjuku. They have Tokyo. They have. They have various lines of stores, and a lot of these stores now are saying goodbye. They're selling their space, and it's a concern, especially for the old timers who have saw it as a tradition, as a shopping tradition, and a tradition of pretty much attracting affluent shoppers. And those things are going bye-bye, and I think that will be a common occurrence in Japan. I think that already we've seen a lot of major businesses close down, but at the same time, a lot of businesses, taking over those locations. And I understand, especially in Ikebukuro, there was such a concern that losing Seibu and putting a Yodobashi camera instead of having the department store, it's going to stop attracting customers who appeal to a luxury type of luxury brands. But the thing is, Japan has changed so much where there are certain locations which are known for being luxurious areas or having luxury-based shops that I don't think anyone thinks about, well, I'm going to buy something Gucci or go, buying something Louis Vuitton at a train station. People usually know where to go for that. In Tokyo, they can go to Omotesando, they could go to Setagaya, or even Marunouchi near Tokyo Station. There are a lot of locations where they learn to attract those type of business, those clientele. And I think that right now, with an aging society, younger people are not going to go to those places, especially if you're in Ikebukuro. You're dealing with a lot of people who are not all into luxury things. Yes, there are a lot of people who like to spend, but there's a lot. When you go there, you're not going to see a lot of people wearing high-end clothing. You mostly see the foreigners doing that. So that's something that again, it's going to lead to decline of the railway station department stores. It's just inevitable. It's just going to happen. I don't think there's any. I know Ikebukuro is the mayor or the governor is vehemently against it, but it's already happening in Shinjuku, Shibuya, and I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. And it's they have other ways of making money for business, and from I think a lot of them are doing real estate investments, and there's just so much part of that of that business for that railway company that they're doing, besides having department stores and it's a changing of the times as well. So anyway, let's see here. There's a movement to let's get on and leave on local lines all over the country, but this movement eventually ran out of breath everywhere. Torizuka says, it is very difficult to leave the railroad while exercising. However, when a customer comes to the railway, we should be able to entertain them. In a way, we will continue to increase the number of customers, and as a result, the foot of the area will be protected. That is true. You know, when you watch Tetsuko no Tabi, the anime series, I think I talked about that last episode, you watched and you see people, people so enthusiastic of taking a train, riding a train, and just traveling to unknown or really rural destinations and just enjoying it. I think there are people like that, but at the same time, there's also monetary considerations. Not many people will want to spend that much money. Travelers from other countries, they get the benefit of the JR pass if it's covered by JR. But a lot of people, there's people that, many Japanese, and they find out of the locations I've been to, and they're like, you've traveled many locations more than most Japanese people in their lifetime. And I think that's because a lot of people are busy with work, a lot of people are busy with school or other activities, and they're content of just putting their money elsewhere. And I think, again, there has to be ways to attract people of wanting to travel to those smaller local lines. A lot of us who are into it do it because we have a respect for those trains, we have a respect for those stations, and we want to experience that in our lifetime. But the thing is that they need to have many more people who can create memories and entice them to come, not just once, but again and again, and encourage more people to visiting the railways. Again, it's tough. The big cities, the big stations, they'll always have shops. They'll always have locations where people meet up. In fact, a lot of us who go to the meetup.coms in Tokyo or in the Kansai area or wherever, we know to look for people near the train stations, and there's always some coffee shop or some bar or somewhere where you could go to a hangout. And it's tough in small rural areas where you can't, if you go there, probably not going to be able to leave that night or the later. You probably have to wait till the next day, and that makes it a little tough. But if you can plan a trip, find ways to go out there. There has to be some something to visit the location. There has to be something, maybe a temple, a shrine, just something. And I think this is going to be a challenge. Let's see here. It's okay to be in the red. It's okay to have a few passengers, says the mayor. Torizuka says, at Isumi Railway, I continued this message to some extent. At that time, Isumi City along the line was not well known because it had just been formed by the merger of municipalities. However, the Isumi Railway is known to many people. I told the mayor at the time, through the Isumi Railway, we will make Isumi City a national constituency. Many people have visited Isumi Railway, and Isumi City has become known nationwide because of the many projects it has developed, such as driving the moving train. Exactly. May it be the Sanrio train. May it be some train. That's where the collaborations need to happen. It's, a lot of people, you can't, they have their museums, but no one says, oh, come all the way to this location, and you could see a Kiha 40 stationed at in front of a building area. There has to be more. And I think, while people like myself would probably do that, not many people would. It's just, for me, it's just because I like the tradition. I like the history. It's part of being, a Tetsudo fan, is that you you love trains and you want to, you kind of look at it almost like, I think in Japan they said the whole hardcore Tetsudo fans, they look at them as almost like their idols. For me, I'm always entrenched in the history. I travel, and I checked out a lot of museums. I check out, a lot of eateries, a lot of places where there's tradition. That's important for me. Tradition and some history there. And you want to experience as much as you can. This place has a restaurant that has been around since the 1700s. Or this place, serves the best, gyoza. Or there always has to be something that, entices people to come. And, I try to make a point that if I go somewhere, there has to be three major things that I want to see or experience during that day, and then I'm good. Along with taking those, hundreds or thousands of pictures in that location. But it's just the thing is that's just for me. That's just enticing. It's exciting. I love the adventure. I love the journeys, and it's one of the reasons why I travel solo. Is because a lot of people don't want to do that. Nor do they want to walk long distances. It's part of the travel that I enjoy. So, but I think what we're learning here is that Torizuka-san, he pretty much used Moomin as a way to attract people, and that's a major thing. You could have Doraemon, you could have Gundam, and people would come. There has to be a reason why. Let's see here. When Asumi Railway starts to invite customers to events such as the Moomin Train, some of the locals rebel. When many customers come to Otaki to enjoy riding the train, some people say, "Did you come without knowing that Otaki was a castle town related to Hondo Todakatsu?" However, the customer said, "We came to board the Moomin Train and the conflict arose." So desu ne. Okay. So, I understand that. Why did you come to this area? You came for our castle for the history, right? No, I came here for the strawberries. Or something like that. I could see that. For instance, Kobe. I went there for a few things. One, for the I'm a big fan of baseball, so I wanted to check out the the home of the original Blue Waves, and then which is now the Orix Buffaloes location. I wanted to try Kobe. I wanted to try check out the shrines and everywhere, but I think I could see people being offended of you going to a location and they think you're there for the major reason that brings the tourism, their castle or their something. It just, I could see that. I understand that. And for me, I dare not say I'm there going to one place for one thing. There's always a multiple things. I do my research on that, but I can see why people would get upset. So yeah, I can see why. It's understandable though. So let's see here. I wonder what the purpose of a tourist association was if the railway had gone to great lengths to develop new customers, but they weren't doing anything to entertain them. I have changed my perception of the Sumi Railway from a railway that is unnecessary because there are no passengers on it, to a railway that is necessary even if there's no passengers on it. However, nothing has changed in the basic style of the railway. In other words, he showed that the railway has various values. When I retired as president of Sumi Railway, just looking at the numbers, we were in the red with a deficit of 20 million a year. When I went to the government offices and reported that I was in the red again this term, I was told by the mayor of Isumi City, "Don't worry about that. The Isumi Railway, which runs so safely and accurately, is necessary for Isumi City." Hearing that, I felt that my work at Isumi Railway was over. The basic style of the railway has not changed. When Isumi Railway starts to invite customers to events, such as the Moomin Train, some of the locals rebel. We did that. I think I just read that right there. Let's see here. We know about the rebellious nature of it. Can we interpret the annual deficit of 20 million yen as insignificant? Tozuka says 400,000 people now use the Isumi Railway every year. There are facilities in the town that are used by 400,000 people a year. For example, public halls and libraries. So how much does it cost per year to maintain such a facility? If you think so, 20 million yen is not a big deal, although this is not a line that the management says. In the case of Isumi City, which was born from the merger of 3 towns, there are 3 public halls, 3 chambers of commerce and industry, and the remains of 3 town halls, all of which remain in the form of branch offices. But is that really the right thing to do? Isn't it something that needs to be sorted out properly before the railway revenues and expenditures become a topic? I think so. And then they said they will continue on with part 2. So that is that. Anyway, we are looking at the KATO upcoming releases for July 2023. Wow, they got quite a few stuff lined up. So if you look here on the yellow in the upper left, you see the series 115-300 Chugoku area. You get 3 trains. Well, it's a 3-car set for... Yeah, it's a 3-car set for 13,640, which isn't too bad. That's probably about 100 and close to 110 bucks US dollars. So this is 10-1808, and just looking at the car, it definitely looks like something from the Kiha early Kiha series, especially the orange and red ones. But this one's active mainly in Okayama, and they call it the yellow train. I guess they have 2 types of trains, the yellow train and the pumpkin train. But yeah, they commercialized the 115 series and the 300 series in the Okayama area, which is active mainly on the Sanyo main line and the Hakubi line. The 115 series is a suburban DC train for cold regions and gradient lines that first appeared in 1963. So that's the 115s right there. The 300. The 115. This is going to get a little bit confusing because if you see the 3-car set right there, it's yellow, but then the back set is the one with they call it the shonan colors, which is always the orange and red, which is very popular. And so they're all pretty much 115s, but I think it's just very interesting that instead of having all yellow, they actually divide it both in halves of 3 and 3. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. The yellow train, let's see here. The 300 series that appeared in 1973 is a group that has been made into a unit window equipped with a cooling device prepared for side display compared to the conventional 0 series, and is still active in the JR West jurisdiction, with the exception of some Series 115 trains that are active in the Chugoku region. They are painted in dark yellow color that invokes the sunlight reflected in the rich sea of the Seto Island, or Seto Inland Sea, and is known as the Yellow Train. Interesting. Also, the organization that continues to maintain the train, the traditional shonan color, is also active. So this is very interesting. For one, shonan trains, again, which are usually the orange and green, are very desirable for collectors. Not sure why, but I will tell you that I have a shonan train, and for me, it's because I've seen it, and I've always, been in love with that orange and green color because it really stands out. And so other areas that have incorporated that into their train line, I think it's really cool. This one gives people a chance to get I guess you could say a 115 or 300 series in those colors. So I think it's worth getting, because right now, I don't know why this happens, but they drive the prices up for anything that's shonen color related. Prices are sky high and they sell out, and It's just, usually you have to get them from resellers, and it's just a tough thing. So anytime you could see something in shown on color, you kind of have to jump at it because they sell out quickly. Yellow ones, not so bad. Not so bad. I mean, you see a lot of yellow trains. There's different variations out there. But I think for me, the only yellow train that really stays in my mind is the Cebu train that I usually saw in Ikebukuro. And then of course the yellow tram that I see in the Setagaya area from Tokyo. But overall, this is very cool. You don't really see a yellow with that design, near the Kanto area. But I think if anything is that it's cool that it's still active in the Okayama region. And let's see here. So they do, before installing the door switch, the tail light reproduces the appearance before 2015. Okay. Enjoy this railroad scenery around Okayama together with the 285 series Sunrise Express, 381 series Yutari Yukamo, JR Shikoku 2000 series, and the N2000 series. Okay. So, so you get the Chugoku region colors, the Shonan colors, and they reproduce the clean roof with the ventilator removed. Okay. Kuha 115 has a front through hood gray installed. Okay. So you're looking right here, the Kuha 115. You got the Moha 114, the motor. And then you got the Kumoha, the 115. That's 302. And then you get another Kuha right here, a Moha 114, and a Kumoha 115. So, pretty cool. Kuha usually are, I usually call it the front part of the train, and the Moha is the motor part, the second part. But Moha, whenever you're buying these sets, or 2 or 3 or basic sets, just make sure that there is a Moha, because you're getting a motor car. I noticed that there's some train sets that people buy, and they think it's automatically has a motorized car, and they don't. Yeah, you kind of have to be careful for that, because sometimes KATO does that, especially with some major sets where you can you think you're getting, like, there's one that comes with 3 cars and it looks really cool. I think it was a 380 series. It was a lavender or so. They released it, and I think a lot of people thought, oh, it's going to be like the Naruto Express or something that has a motor in it. But nope, you have to buy I think it's like a 6-car or 8-car set for that to get the motorized car. So you kind of have to do your own diligence and look it up. Usually the releases will automatically show there. Again, if you don't know Japanese, or little, at least you can see the Kuha. Or actually, here's you can just keep an eye on this. You can start to learn some katakana, especially the ku, the ha, the mo ha, or kumoha. There's things that you need to at least pay attention to. And also, when you look at this, just look for something with the M on it on the diagrams. Especially if you go to 1999.co.jp, usually they have a lot of the photos, the product photos, that will indicate if it has a motor or not. But it does get confusing, especially for older releases that may not have that on there. So, but yeah, that's the 115 and the 300 series. This one, the Shonen one's a lot cheaper, if you notice. Well, no, it's actually a lot more. It's more. This is 13,640. This is 15,400. And I would imagine it's because of those Shonan colors that makes it a little bit more desirable. So, but it's not that bad, actually. It's not too bad. Especially that people can pre-order these at a lot cheaper price. So okay, let's check out this one right here. This is a Nissan U41A container. So that's something you don't usually see. You usually see the Nissan, the Petroleum, but not with the actual Nissan logo. So I think that's pretty cool. In fact, you know what? Let me see if they released any containers with Nissan in the past. Well, they did release a container U38A and a U41A in 2021. So they have released it before. U41A containers. Two are for Nissan Land Transport, and the other one it just shows as 0. I wonder what that means there. Let's see here. The U41A container is a 20-foot lidded container for automobiles developed in 1991. One passenger car can be loaded on each of the upper and lower tiers, and the maximum of 3 cars for 6 passenger trains were loaded and operated per job. In 2001, Nissan Land Transport Company Limited, which was a company changed the company name to Zero Company Limited, and the description of the container was also changed. A new lineup has appeared in the popular car transport container. In combination with a Koki 104 and freight station plates, you can enjoy the railway freight scene of the time when car transportation with special containers was seen. And I'm kind of curious, where does it actually show the 0? I know right here, this little text right here has 0, but I thought it would probably be something on the top or so, but nope, I don't see it. In fact, let me bring up an older Nissan image here. Okay, I see the difference now. In the older Nissans, right here, you can see it right here. There's no 0 wording, so it's a little bit different. So, and they come with the Koki 104. Well, no, you have to buy the Koki 104 separately. So this is 1980 yen. It's probably what, $14 or so. This is 1980, same thing, but you get two. You get 2 Koki 104 containers. So I think that's pretty cool. Koki 104 belongs to the Koki 100 series, which was developed by JR Freight to replace the Koki 50,000 series, the main freight car of the former J&R era. Therefore, FT1 bogies and electromagnetic air brakes with load-applying devices are adopted, and the maximum speed is 110 kilometers per hour. In addition, Koki 104 can be used alone, unlike other Koki 100 series cars. Interesting. So these have no containers, but I think for those looking for a Koki, let me see here. Let's take a look at this right here. So you get the JRF logo, which is cool. You don't get the, hold on here, let me get to the next one. So you don't get those little things that tend to pop off on other another Kokis, that is. Usually there's some kind of, not handrail or something that just keeps on popping off. You could pretty much have to glue it on sometimes. But I like it. Not bad. Especially if you want something in this blue color. So definitely worth checking out. Okay, so let's move on to the Tomix side of things. I think the big release in the next few days, March 11th, will be the release of the JR 45-1000. So this is a JR Limited Express train the Komakusa. And it'll come in a 5-car set and a 3-car set. And yeah, they've been taking pre-reservations for this way back in August 2022. So that kind of shows you how I think they anticipate that this would be a pretty big release. This is a train that can withstand the strong, colder weather, and especially the north area. It was mainly active in the Tohoku region, but it first appeared in 1976. It was modified from the Moha 485 Type 1000 series, which is an intermediate electric car, to the lead car, and appeared in 1986 with the aim of shortening the limited express Tazawa, the 485 series in the Akita area. And it was painted changed to ivory with blue and pink belts or bands, and was active on the limited express Kamokasa Limited Express connecting Akita and Aomori in the 1997 Akita Shinkansen. So that's way up there, way up north in Japan. Aomori, which is a prefecture that believes that Jesus died there. I'm serious. Check it out. That's an interesting thing that you'll see about Aomori. Aside from their dialect that they often show on TV, that is very different from from the typical Japanese that people speak. So, I've never been to Aomori, but I often talk about it for some reason. I don't know why. I read up, I've read so much about Aomori, but anyway, that's going way off topic. But anyway, this is a high grade specifications. You got the Kumoha 485-1000 reproduced with new production. Kumoha 485,000 type and the Moha 484-1000 type reproduces the latest model with handrails at the end of the car. So, got a flywheel, black wheels, uses the Tomix M13 motor, uses a dummy coupler with connector over the cab and leading car, equipped with a TN coupler, shoe rails and door rails printed in silver. Okay. H rubber is reproduced in black. The pantograph reproduces the shape of the current collection. The car number is selectively transferred. Sheet included. Pre-printed trademark. Come here. No. Okay. It is the. I'm not sure why it says that, but I could get my kanji a little bit mixed up right there. But okay, I've drunk too much coffee today. Anyway, you get a pre-printed trademark Kamoka installed and the Sugaru included. So you get 2, which is cool. And you get a TN coupler, which is included for exchanging the leading car cab size, and by replacing it, a 6-car train that connects 2 trains, it can be done. Nice. So this one is going to go for about 109, but it's more expensive on Amazon right now at $12.51. So that is about, let's see here, $91.41. It's actually a pretty cool looking train. Okay, so we're going to end this episode checking out the creation of a diorama by Good Iron, Good Tetsudo. Oh man, just look at how many he has there. That is just incredible. But you know what? Let's check it out. Let's see. He said that this is just. It may look like he did this really quickly, but there's actually 7 years of work. So he condensed it to 8 minutes. So let's check it out. Gotetsu. Okay, so he did a whole layout. Engineering student? That's like hardcore, man. Architect or... not sure, but he planned this out pretty good. Wow. So he has an HO gauge on the top and N gauge on the bottom. Okay, so he resized everything to make sure it works with the space. He has his workbench, work desk, trains to the side. I thought about doing that, but I decided not to. I'd rather just occupy half a wall versus multiple walls. That's something I noticed in Japan magazines. A lot of people do take advantage of having their trains run along walls to utilize all four sides, or at least three sides. It's actually a pretty cool concept if you can make it work. Wow. This project plan is just... that's a lot of planning right there. I applaud this guy. A lot of planning went into this. Oh my. Where's your doorway? Wow. That is hardcore, man. He got some mad construction skills right there if he's doing this all himself. Wow. You can't help but be amazed just by looking at the planning that went into this. Let's go ahead and forward a little bit. Or we're almost there, but let's get to okay, he's doing the wiring. Wow. My goodness, this is like Uber work. I can see why it took 7 years of planning, but let's okay. Let's see when he goes to put his rail diorama together. I'll put a link to this if you guys want to watch it completely. I'll make sure that you can see his video uninterrupted. smart. Instead of spending extra on piers and stuff like that, or going the styrofoam route, can't go wrong by doing it the wood route. It's like a foam. Got the tape. He's gonna do the plaster. Yep, KATO plaster. Tunnels upon tunnels, really cool. Look at that. Oh, nice. Sugoi. Sugoi, sugoi, sugoi. Mecha sugoi. Got a person who also has mad airbrushing skills. Well, there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. But that person did a really good job on his diorama. A lot of money spent, a lot of time spent, but a lot of planning, but it's just fantastic. So anyway, you all have a good rest of your week. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.